Hi, welcome back to my channel. Open the door. This is episode 55, Unlock Your Triggers. So we've all experienced being triggered, and I know before I became aware, consciously aware of my triggers, I was triggered numerous times a day for a variety of reasons until I started to figure it out. So let me share that with you and hopefully give you some tips on how to handle and work through your triggers. So what are triggers? Well, they're events, situations, or stimuli that provoke strong emotional or psychological reaction in us. And this stimuli can be sensory, emotional, or situational. But people who are easily triggered may have heightened sensitivity and even chronic stress and illness because triggers are often linked to unresolved emotions, unprocessed trauma, and deep-seated fears. Sometimes in minor situations, our response can be disproportionate and intense, and it's because we're usually triggered by a past experience or a deeply held fear, and our response is disproportional to the event or situation. But when something in our environment reminds us of a past event, our brain perceives it as a threat, and the triggers of fight, flight, or freeze response emerge to the surface. But understanding your triggers can help heal past experiences and manage your emotional responses better. So next I'm going to talk about common triggers and how they manifest in our lives and in our behaviors. First up, emotional type triggers that are considered things like criticism, conflict, feeling excluded or ignored, or even the loss of control. And the way that manifests is with intense and quick emotional responses, including overreacting and being sensitive and having low emotional thresholds. Another emotional manifestation of a trigger would be consistently being upset by situations that others view as minor. Having mood swings, going from calm to upset very quickly in a short amount of time. Also, feeling helpless or hopeless, powerless, and unable to cope. Or having this sense of numbness where we can't feel emotions when they're normally expected. So those are emotional manifestation of triggers. Now here's relational manifestations of triggers. So the relational trigger could be something that reminds us of a past relationship or a breakup, or betrayal, or even dishonesty. And the way that manifests in our lives and in our behaviors is through withdrawal and avoidance, where we isolate to avoid people, places, or situations that are triggering for us. But also aggression and irritability and being extremely defensive are manifestations of a trigger. In our situations or in our environment, the trigger could be places associated with the trauma, loud noises or specific sounds, or even anniversaries of traumatic events. And often the way the manifestation shows up from these type of triggers is a disassociation, becoming disconnected and detached from ourselves and our surroundings. So physical triggers can include things like unexpected or unwanted touch. And the way that this manifests, being triggered in this way, could be increased heart rate, sweating, where your body is reacting to perceived danger, muscle tension and tightness, especially in the neck and shoulders, fatigue, feeling drained and having low energy, or hypervigilance, having a heightened sense of awareness and constantly feeling on edge. Those are physical manifestations of being physically triggered. So cognitive psychological aspect of triggers includes things like criticism, rejection, conflict, abandonment, failure, intimacy or lack of it, loss of control, and the way this manifests could be things like negative self-talk, where we're blaming ourselves and have a sense of worthlessness, and also a fear of rejection. Intrusive thoughts and flashbacks can also be the manifestation cognitively and psychologically of triggers, where there's racing thoughts and confusion and a lack of clarity on our own thoughts and feelings and the reality of the situation that triggered us. So dealing with and overcoming triggers includes these steps. Number one, recognize patterns and acknowledge your feelings. That's always going to be the first step. Then once you're able to do that, either through thoughtful mindfulness or meditation, possibly journaling, then you're going to start to practice grounding practices like deep breathing and physically grounding through the use of a stress ball or walks in nature. And be sure that you challenge your thoughts. Do a reality check-in on situations and reframe these situations for a less threatening outcome. And remember that other people's criticism doesn't define your worth. That is simply their perception and their opinions. So when you're challenging your thoughts and you're remembering criticism from others, don't be triggered by that. Just remember that there can only come from the place of their own knowing and their own experience. And it doesn't define your worth. So other ways to deal with and overcome triggers include self-soothing practices like listening to or playing music, meditation, take a warm bath, any activities that soothe your nervous system. Create healthy boundaries and limit exposure. And prepare yourself for challenging situations where you feel you're walking into a group of people that you know you're normally triggered by. So if there's no getting out of this social event, prepare yourself ahead of time. Seek professional support when needed to work through your triggers. And always practice self-compassion and be patient with yourself. And use forgiveness, not just towards others, but towards yourself as well. Take a break, pause or leave the situation as well as another aspect of dealing with triggers, and there's nothing wrong with that. If you need to take some time to yourself, then put yourself first. Do what's best for you. So I wanted to make sure that I pointed out this aspect of glimmers. Glimmers are considered the opposite of triggers, and there's plenty of glimmers present in our lives every day. We just have to be on the lookout for them. So what I said is that glimmers are the opposite of triggers. They're small, subtle experiences that evoke feelings of joy, safety, connection, comfort, and calm. They help to activate the parasympathetic nervous system, which leads to a sense of relaxation and well-being. Some examples of glimmers include things like warm sunlight, soft lighting, natural beauty, feeling connection to others, scents, particular smells, music, touch, movement, and laughter. And here's a few of my own personal glimmers that I see just about daily. So experiencing acts of kindness from others. Hearing my wind chimes ring outside the door here. I was hoping they would ring when I said that, but no. Being near a body of water, whether it's a flowing stream or a big lake, I find to be, brings me definitely a sense of calm and well-being. Other glimmers for me include the smile of a baby, getting to pet animals. Any interactions I have with animals are always very good. Hearing birdsong right outside my window, quiet moments, playing music, feeling a connection with my family and friends, warm hugs, gentle breeze, or even wind in the trees. These are all, in my mind, what I consider to be glimmers. So next time you find yourself getting triggered, try to remember this thing, that just recognizing that you're being triggered is a step toward understanding and managing your emotional reactions. It's common to get triggered, especially if you've gone through something emotionally challenging or any type of traumatic experience. So try not to blame yourself when you're triggered. Instead, pause and breathe. Practice self-compassion. Identify the trigger, and then use these tips and coping mechanisms. And always set boundaries if needed, but most of all, practice self-compassion and forgiveness, and remember that we're only human. And these are normal things that occur in our daily lives, but there's ways that we can work through it and overcome it. So this is our lesson for today, unlocking your triggers. I hope that you've been doing well. I've had a busy week, but I'm back on track now and ready to do some more recording. So I'll get a couple more videos out to you in the next few days. And in the meantime, take good care of yourselves. I wish you peace, love, and light. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you again soon. Bye for now.